Hi there, fellow travelers.
Hello.
I'm Neil.
And I'm Kimberly.
And this is
To Travel and Tour.
So, we have all kinds of bizarre footage for you in this episode. We're talking scenes that could have been taken straight from the Walking Dead series. An empty airport, empty plane even.
It was kind of post-apocalyptic looking.
That's what it looked like. We will be showing that to you after this. Our itinerary was as follows. First, from Amsterdam Schiphol Airport to Dublin, Ireland, and then from Dublin, Ireland to Washington Dulles Airport in the United States. That was a very bizarre experience at Schiphol Airport, wasn't it?
It was so deserted. It's such a busy airport, one of the busiest ones in the world, and
Yes.
we are used to seeing it that way because it's an airport that we go in and out of at least once a year.
Yeah, visiting family, that is the airport to go to, yes, absolutely. So, there was all these empty restaurants, shut down, and like obviously shut down, complete with red and white tape. Fences, chairs placed on tables, like they were just closed for business.
Well, they were closed for business.
That they were. Even Schiphol Plaza, which is a main area at the airport, it's where the main entrance is, it's where you can have access to the trains, is where you can go to basically, from there you can go anywhere in the airport. And I have never ever in my life seen it that deserted. That was truly a bizarre and weird experience. And then the numerous amount of cancelled flights I saw on the departure screens, that's highly unusual.
The thing is we knew what was happening and we weren't sure what to expect.
No.
And to know that it's happening and actually see this, the reality of it, I think, was rather unsettling.
It was.
Because travel is truly our passion.
It is. Yeah.
It's what we love. It's what we do. It's so much of what we want to bring to you and share with you. And to see something we love travel at the state that it's in, I think is rather heartbreaking.
Yeah, it's truly a sad thing to watch an airport that empty, that out of business, that I would almost say out of its element.
Yeah.
That'd be, I think, the best way to put it. So, and even as far as check-in desks are concerned, here, have a look for yourself. Empty, 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 and more empty. We didn't have any trouble, let that be the upside of it all. We didn't have any trouble getting through places. Customs was empty, the baggage check, everything was empty. We could just walk straight through pretty much everything and we got to the gate without too many issues. So that was a little bit of a surprise. We expected the health screening right at Schiphol Airport, which we didn't get. So then we got on the plane to Dublin, and yet...
I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
We flew with Aer Lingus, the first time we've ever flown with Aer Lingus.
Yeah, we haven't flown with them before.
No. And we were extremely pleased with them.
Absolutely. Very good first impression. And you know what they say about first impressions. So, yeah, we were definitely pleased about this great Irish airline.
Given the opportunity, we will fly with them again.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. So, sadly, though, they didn't have that many people on board.
The small flight that we took from Amsterdam to Dublin was a smaller plane. Usually holds, what did they say, 150 people or so?
Probably. It can be much more than that.
There were 9.
Yeah, and that included us.
Included us.
So as you can see right here, it's just pretty much an empty plane. It's
They were
crazy.
they were asking people to please sit in the exit rows because they needed to have them covered.
Yeah, usually there is like
They coveted an extra,
it's the
extra
other way
rows.
around.
Everybody wants them.
Yeah, everyone wants them.
And but they didn't have enough people on the
No.
plane, so everybody that was on the plane, I believe, was sitting in an exit row.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. Yes.
Yeah. But they did a very good job.
Yes.
They got us onto the plane. Now, we were told that there would not be any drink or food service on that little flight, and which was fine. We did bring some water with us that we
Yes.
got at the airport. That's one thing that was open at the airport. They did have like the small little kiosk stores.
You mean at Schiphol?
Yeah.
Okay.
That you could pick up water or a candy bar, things like that.
Yeah.
There were no sit-down dining. There was
No, it was all takeaway.
takeaway.
Yeah.
So there were things that you could get once you got through security to bring on the plane with you.
Yeah, there was no need to be hungry or thirsty, but no such thing as sitting down for a very nice meal.
No.
That wasn't happening.
And you could just, you looked around at the people and the ones that you did see,
Yeah.
and you saw the masks.
Yeah, they were all wearing the masks.
lot.
Yeah, a lot of them.
And the overall tone, me and Neil, we love airports, especially Neil.
Oh yes, absolutely.
The atmosphere of travel and the excitement of going
that's
somewhere.
where many trips start. I think that's what it is.
And this time it was just very solemn.
Almost like a funeral home in a way.
Yeah, it was very solemn.
Yeah, very
I think
down.
With everything that's going on in the world and so many trips cut short. There was another girl that was on the plane with us. I heard she was studying abroad.
Yeah.
And had to come home right away.
Yeah.
A lot of things like that. But we did make our way to Dublin.
Yes, we did. In Dublin, we run into similar scenario. So, a pretty empty airport, many places closed. I took a little footage of that as well, as you can see right here. Again, I would have loved to taste some Irish whiskey, although it might have been a bit early for that.
A little early in the day, but...
But, again, it was sad to see an airport that shut down and not really open for business.
Now, we did have about a transfer with about 2.5 hours in between.
Yeah.
So we had enough time to, do what we needed to do in Dublin. One thing that was really interesting was, and I didn't know this, but U.S. Customs, or U.S., immigration?
Oh, U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Yeah, they had...
Immigration,
They had an outpost in Dublin. So, basically imagine going through U.S. Customs in Dublin as opposed to in the United States.
It was nice.
Yeah.
So we went through the Irish part, and then they funneled us to because coming back to the U.S., they sent us to there. We went through that, and then we went to our gate. And our baggage was checked the whole way through. So we didn't have to pick up our baggage, go through the immigration, and then put our baggage back.
Yeah.
It was all taken care of for us.
That was a big help.
So again, if I'm going to fly, I'm going to transfer through Dublin. It was great.
If need be, yes.
If we have to transfer.
Certainly, yeah.
We will do so again through Dublin.
Yeah, no doubt. So we got then on the plane from Dublin to Washington, D.C. Again, a rather empty plane, nowhere near as empty as the previous flight, but still not what flights across the Atlantic Ocean usually are.
They said that the plane held over 300, and we had 87.
There you go. That sums it up right there.
So social distancing was definitely possible. They asked us all to sit in our assigned seats when we got onto the plane, and then told us that we were welcome to fan out to different seats and make ourselves comfortable. Yeah,
and that's what ended up happening. So we sat in the middle row, the center row, that holds 4 people under normal circumstances. Well, this time we were the only 2, it was just us. So that makes for a nice amount of legroom, enables you to stretch out a little bit.
Yeah. But again, it was a very solemn flight,
Yeah, it's the atmosphere you had at the airport was similar to what you had on board. I agree. It's unprecedented, really. So after, well, how long did we did?
It was a long flight. It was like 7 hours and 40 minutes, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. Much longer than our way to Dublin,
It seemed that way.
probably due to the wind. So, yes, by the way, wind can affect the duration of your flight. Very much so, in fact. So, we got to Washington, D.C., and
With that being said, I do want to make a point to say when we went through Dublin, we were given a piece of paper to fill out. But as far as being asked a whole lot of questions in Dublin,
no,
as
not
far
so
as
much.
health screening
No.
or anything, no.
No, again, just like at Schiphol Airport, there was no health screening in Dublin.
Now, we were told and what we read and what we looked up, expecting a very thorough, long health screening when we got to DC. We were expecting there to be long lines.
Yeah.
We didn't know exactly what we were walking into for sure.
No. There was a lot of uncertainty surrounding this trip.
But we were prepared
Yeah,
to be there quite some time.
We knew there might be some obstacles on our trip. We knew this.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's
nothing you can do. Just accept it.
It's what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah. So, airplane gets to Washington Dulles Airport, and we cannot get off the airplane right away because there was a federal officer required to be present. And, well, let's just say the vehicle had forgotten to bring said officer to the airplane.
So we had to go back.
Yeah, they did. So that took a little bit of time. Aer Lingus, however, once again did a great job. They kept people in the loop, so they would make frequent announcements as to what was going on, what was happening, and that way we stayed informed.
Which helps a lot.
Yeah.
Another point is I do want to make is when they came to the plane with the vehicle to bring the passengers, they said, oh, it's okay or whatever. And Aer Lingus said, no. This is the instructions we were given. There has to be a federal officer on there. We cannot let them disembark until there is.
Yeah.
And so that's when there was phone calls made.
And it was a bit chaotic.
A little bit chaos.
Yeah.
But it wasn't on Aer Lingus's part.
No.
They knew what they needed to do. They knew what was required.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure that that's pretty clear.
Yeah, I agree.
So then they did, it wasn't a whole lot of time.
No.
I in the scheme of things minutes. And what it could have been, believe me, this was fine.
Yeah.
So they come back with the federal person and then they start letting us off of the plane into transportation.
Now this is where trouble starts because this vehicle, I'm not exactly sure what they're called.
I don't know either.
They're like some sort of a cabin that can move up and down. It almost reminds you a little bit of a scissor lift, but it isn't quite that, of course, and it only holds so many passengers. Granted, there were only 87 people on board, but this vehicle was small. And so here we are, crammed like sardines in this vehicle despite international calls to keep distance from each other. So that didn't make much sense.
No. And to say about all these precautions and say about, everywhere is wash your hands, everywhere is 6 foot apart and all of this, and then cramming everybody like sardines into this little tin can.
Yeah, that's not going to work.
It made no sense. And with the federal agent and the flight crew, all like this. So they crammed us all in there and took us to the entrance of the airport that we needed to be in.
Yeah.
And in that, when we went in, there were, this is where they did the health screening.
Yeah, that was basically right away as you got off the vehicle.
There was also the 3 tables and someone sitting behind the tables. And they had the masks and everything on. And behind them was another person with another tables and things like that. And I would assume, I'm not guaranteeing, that when you went to the table to talk to the people, if you were sick or you said, yeah, I'm not feeling good, or gee, a little bit of a fever, I think they would send you to that other person for additional health screening. I didn't see anybody have to go to those people. So once you went up to the person that with the mask, it took about 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's really quick.
They asked you some questions, very basic questions.
Yeah.
Have you been around anybody that's sick? Have you had a fever in the last few days? Are you coughing? Or basically, they asked, do you have a cough that has become worse? And if you answered no to these questions,
They actually waived taking your temperature.
they didn't take our
Yeah,
temperature.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. They just waived that part. And
Maybe if you would have said you weren't feeling good, or maybe if you looked visibly sick,
yeah, but see, I for one believe what they should have done was take everyone's temperature regardless.
the way they did on the cruise ship.
Yeah, they had these body heat cameras or something like
Set
that.
up when we were getting on the cruise
Right.
that
Yeah.
we went on last month.
Yeah.
They took your paper. They did have us write our passport number down on the paper.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that was for.
They didn't have a line for it, so we didn't
No.
have that on there. So while we're in line, they're like, oh, and if you could write your passport number down on the paper. We're like, okay.
So, all in all, that was a very, nowhere near as complicated of a procedure we had to go through as we anticipated.
No.
In fact, I think they could have been
A little more
bit
thorough.
yeah, definitely a bit more thorough. I think the way everything was done and organized only is typical for what happened and for what's unfolding still right now. It doesn't seem like anyone was really prepared.
No, of course not.
No.
Everything is changing hourly.
Yeah.
And they change the rules by the minute.
So you might wonder, was Washington Dulles Airport more crowded than the other two airports? Well, it seemed that way, but then again, keep in mind that in the previous two airports, we were mainly in the departure areas. Whereas at the DC airport, after the health screening, we went straight to the baggage claim. And with all the repatriating flights that are going on right now, it actually seemed a little bit more busy, but I'm relatively convinced that upstairs, where all the departures take place and the check-in takes place, I think it wasn't as busy there as it was at the baggage claim.
No. And DC is another generally pretty busy airport.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And even when we flew to Europe, it wasn't very busy.
No. You know what else might have affected it? You know how they only have designated airports now where flights from abroad can come into the
13 of
United
them,
States?
yes.
And Washington Dulles is one of the 13 designated airports.
I do have to say that we got very, very lucky. We decided to visit Neil's family rather last minute.
Yes, we did.
And I booked the trip right after we got back from our cruise. So a little over a week or so out, and we booked the trip to go to Amsterdam.
Yes.
It was luck, just pure luck, that I booked the flight out of DC with Aer Lingus to go through Ireland and to come back to DC, because we're from the Pittsburgh area.
Yeah.
So I could have booked a trip out of Pittsburgh. If I had done so, we would have had to change all of our travel plans.
So all in all, it was a very bizarre experience, this trip. Arguably one of the most bizarre ones we've ever had, if not the most bizarre one we have ever had.
I think that's true for everyone right now.
You're probably right. Yeah, it's again, Schiphol Plaza, that empty, that just is an image I'll never forget.
It was quite unsettling.
Yeah, very, very. And then all those places, all those bars, restaurants, just empty, shut off with the red and white tape. It was like scenes that could have come from The Walking Dead. Crazy. Well, next time, hopefully, we're going to have a bit more of a cheerful trip. Let's call it that way.
But the good news is we did make it home.
That is the good news. As you can see, you see the little globe behind us.
Our fireplace.
That means we're home.
And I do want to say I'm very grateful and very thankful to everyone who reached out to us.
Yeah.
to ask if we were home yet, to ask how we were doing.
Yeah, that's most appreciated.
Lots and lots
guys.
of love.
Thank you so much. If you do appreciate this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber yet, please do subscribe. We still need lots of subscribers. In fact, I think we'll never cease needing subscribers, so please do hit that button. Until next time. And again, I'm Neil.
And I'm Kimberly.
And this is To Travel and Tour.